Education Association, Mr. Brian Pfeiffer of the Virginia Education Association, and all those other hardworking folks that have been out in the communities to make this meeting possible. All of you who made phone calls, knocked on doors, leafleted the community, we appreciate you. And to each of you in the room tonight, you found time in hectic, busy schedules to come out and advocate for your community. Thank you. I appreciate it. You know, I have to say, I wish we could meet each other under better circumstances. Frankly, I was disappointed and surprised to hear about the push by Roanoke City Public Schools to privatize yet another employee group. As Mrs. Bell already indicated, outsourcing local school services is a terrible, terrible course to take. Roanoke has already outsourced its bus drivers, substitutes, and nurses. And I find that interesting because other divisions in the region have already experimented with this. They've already researched outsourcing these groups and they found that it hasn't worked. Examples in Montgomery, Pulaski, and Floyd County come to mind, but they're not the only ones. Divisions all across the Commonwealth have tried this. Montgomery County said no to outsourcing custodial services just recently. Floyd County just last year, the county in which I teach, said no to outsourcing bus drivers. And Pulaski County had a terrible, terrible experience with privatization. So what is this? What's this all about? Why is it a bad idea? Well, to begin with, when local school divisions outsource their services, they lose control over those services. You know, we always make the case that local school officials know what's best for our kids. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
We know what's best. So why would we put these services in the hands of some distant corporation? Nutrition, the health of our children, why would we put that in the hands of somebody outside our community? Are your kids dollar signs to you? Because the only investment that these corporations have in our kids are the dollar signs they see on their foreheads. Are your kids money to you? Or are they something more? Moreover, when we surrender control of these services, there's always confusion about accountability. When services are lacking, when kids suffer, these corporations and school divisions, they pass the buck, they play the blame game, they point fingers at each other. And in all that time, services suffer even more. But not only does service suffer, and not only do our kids suffer, but let's consider what happens to the employees whose jobs are being outsourced. Much of the so-called savings that corporations tout comes on the back of who? Employees. Service workers whose jobs have been outsourced, they're paid less than a school board employee, and they often receive no benefits. Most of the affected support staff comes from the community. They live right here in these neighborhoods. I know because I've been to most of their houses. So any employee who isn't fired in the shakeup, they're going to be forced into lower wage jobs with no access to health insurance and no access to their hard-earned retirement benefits. Call it what it is, folks. This is class warfare. A lot of these victims of this class warfare are women of color. They're mothers. Mothers, often of children in the school division. Mothers who live in this community. They will take a huge hit economically in the name of saving a buck. But lower middle class women aren't the only losers in this equation. Our local economy is also sure to suffer. Local school divisions often do business with local companies and businesses when buying supplies or leasing equipment. We have a couple of those vendors in the room tonight. When localities surrender control to a corporation, those community business partners are rarely part of the deal. Rather, these corporations bring in their own national vendors. Now, these national vendors and these corporations, they work together. These vendors will cut deals to the corporations, but those savings are never passed down to the school divisions. So, local businesses suffer in favor of vendors who also are, by the way, from out of state. Roanoke City does hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of business with local farmers. Outsource food services, local farms suffer. Roanoke does millions of dollars more in business with other vendors, all of which will evaporate when we sell out to out-of-state corporations. And so our kids and our community members suffer under outsourced labor. And for what? Well, the locality believes that it's going to save money. The locality can balance its budget for 1 year on the backs of your kids and its employees. But does it save money? What we've seen across the state and across the nation is basically that corporations, when they're flirting with school boards, they'll lowball their bids. They'll do anything to win the contract. They'll offer you the moon. And after a year or two, the honeymoon period ends. And localities will see those fees rise faster than the cost would under local control. In most cases, school divisions, they're still responsible for purchasing that equipment or leasing that equipment. And that represents additional cost. So the school division hasn't saved any money. In fact, regionally, we've seen school divisions lose money in a deal and then spend millions trying to get out of a bad contract. It's happened in Salem, it's happened in Pulaski. So what's at stake here? Well, strong community schools are what's at stake. Schools with men and women working for them from these neighborhoods. Men and women who have ties to their community and interest in serving our kids. Why would we surrender local control of our services? Why would we corrupt the quality of those services? Why would we force local community members into unemployment or low wages and no benefits for the illusion of cost savings? To benefit some absentee corporation? Folks, this is the time to say no. This far, Roanoke City, no further. We're asking each of you to reach out to those who decide. Come out tomorrow night to the school board meeting. Tell them no on privatization. Tell them, or do the same thing on January 12th. Tell them to abandon this scheme to corrupt the quality of services to our kids. Tell them to protect the economic integrity and dignity of our community members who have given so much already to our school divisions. Tell them no on outsourcing and yes to strong community schools. Thank you so much for coming out tonight.
Yeah.